A very warm welcome to our coverage of the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E-Series, presented by Brabham Automotive. Following Spa and Silverstone, this third round of the E-Series takes us to the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit. Coming up, race 2, and the racingriggs.co.uk starting grid tells us that they'll be lining up in the order that they finished race 1. So, after taking his first outright victory in his new McLaren 650, it's Team Brit's Bobby Trundley on pole, with the Praga R1T of Jack Fabi sharing the front row. Morgan Short and Isaac Rain are on row 2, followed by Ben Sharich and ex-Grand Prix racer David Brabham, who leads a trio of Brabham BT62s on the grid. Just behind, Scott Stevenson and Sam Brabham were both unlucky to miss out on a podium in race 1 after running out of fuel on the last lap and the last corner, respectively. Historic racer Charles Rainford heads the Class 2 field after taking his third straight victory last time out. Visit racingriggs.co.uk for some great deals on professional sim racing equipment. We're all set to go then in what will be the 6th race of the season. The cars are lined up on the grid, the red lights come on, the engine notes rise, Bobby Trundley on pole position. The lights are on hold for a long time. They now go out. The race gets underway. Bit of wheel spin off the line there for several cars, but it's Jack Fabi around the outside that's gone into the lead of the race. Morgan Short's gone into second place. Bobby Trundley from pole position down to third place, and under attack from Isaac Rain in the first of the Mac G Racing Glickenhauses. Ben Sharich just behind in fifth place. Then it's Brabham. And David Brabham, that is, and then you've got Charles Rainford, the leading Class 2 car. Look at this, Morgan Short trying to go around the outside at Graham Hill Bend. He's done it, fantastic move to get the lead of the race. He carried huge speed around the outside of one of the most difficult corners on the circuit to take the lead away from Jack Fabi. So Fabi back where he's starting now, down in second place. The pole sitter Bobby Trundley in third as they rise up now onto the Grand Prix loop, charging uphill, then down, then up again into the daunting right-hander at Hawthorns. At the back of the field, that's Andrew Tucker. And off the road in front of him, a Ginetta, that's James Little, who's taken the car over from son Jake Little, who competed in race 1. So both of those having delayed starts, trying to catch the pack up already. But it's Morgan Short that leads the way on the Grand Prix loop for the first time in the race. That's James Rainford and Sean Stoney. Sean had a good start, and he's coming under attack now, though, from the Seat of James Rainford, who's forced out wide in the Ginetta as they come out of the left-hander at Stirling's, heading back now towards Clearways. Stoney's got the inside line, he stays through. We've got 2 off in the gravel trap as well, including one of the Brabhams and the Class 2 leader. So Charles Rainford in the gravel trap, and it was Scott Stevenson in the Brabham that was out. Look at the dark green Brabham BT62 though of Sam Brabham, who's thundering around the outside at Paddock Hill Bend. The Class 1 car, he moves ahead of the Class 2 car of James Rainford. James now leading the category, but a real dogfight going on there already. There's been some really entertaining battles in Class 2 so far in this Britcar Dunlop Endurance E-Series presented by Brabham Automotive. David Brabham looking at the inside of the pole sitter Bobby Trundley on the way to the left-hander at Surtees. Gets halfway alongside, but the McLaren is able to hold line coming around the exit to the corner, and actually he's got a good run here coming onto the straight, so he's now going to try and attack Isaac Rain for third place. Isaac, though, fends him off on the way into Hawthorns for now. Third, fourth, fifth altogether. Just off them in sixth place, Ben Sharich, who was struggling with the car on cold tyres and understeering in cold conditions in race 1, but he's still got a good 5th place finish. Now look at this, the battle for the lead of the race is still very much alive here in these early stages, because they've both led. Morgan Short leads at the moment in the BMW. He's looking for his first win in the series. So too is Jack Fabi, who finished second in the previous race. Jack a little bit quicker on the way into Clearways, but he was tight on the curbs there and got a bit of oversteer, got slightly out of shape, which has compromised him on the way through Clark Curve onto the Brabham straight. So he's 2 or 3 lengths back now by the time they get to Paddock Hill Bend. Jack Fabi will have to regroup. He's got a big gap back though to this squabble that's been going on for third place. There's Shane Stoney, who is currently 9th overall, but more importantly second in Class 2. So it's James Rainford, Shane Stoney and Sarah Moore, the top 3 at the moment in Class 2. Sarah would be looking for her first E-Series class podium. There's a long, long way to go in this race, and look at this battle for third position on the way into Surtees. You've got Isaac Rain just about fending off Bobby Trundley. and David Brabham on the case of both of them, the former Le Mans winner who's been showing his nose a couple of times already in this race. Now this could be interesting on the run up towards Hawthorns. Isaac Rain coming under attack from Bobby Trundley, the race one winner. Flames spitting at the back of the McLaren, a tap, and Rain goes out wide and onto the grass. He's going to lose 2 places. Trundley will go through, so too will Brabham, and Isaac Rain now off the podium and rejoins just in front of his teammate Ben Sharridge. Now, while all that was going on, if you have a look at the graphic, you'll see that Jack Fabi's name has now swapped places with Morgan Short. So we've had a change for the lead of the race. So the new order is Jack Fabi, Morgan Short, Bobby Trundley the top 3. Then it's David Brabham, Isaac Rain and Ben Sharridge in 6th. Sam Brabham's now up to 7th place. James Rainford is the Class 2 leader in 8th. Scott Stevenson's just moved ahead of Shane Stoney for 9th. Stoney ahead of Sarah Moore in 11th, and Charles Rainford, who was involved in that incident with Scott Stevenson, which saw them both in the gravel trap, he's just gone back up to 12th place. Now this is the battle between Shields Bergstrom, 13th overall, and Max Coates, 14th overall. They're squabbling over 5th in class. They're coming now onto the start-finish straight, and these pair had a really good battle in race 1. That saw them swapping positions a few times in the race. They were battling over the final podium position in Class 2. In the end, Max Coates got there and claimed his first ever E-Series podium. He's now going up the inside at Druids. A bit of contact, he's got the inside line. Shields Bergstrom in the yellow Seat sent out wide, and they switch positions. So a forceful move that, but Max Coates is through, and now will home his target sights on the Ginetta ahead of the recovering Charles Rainford. So Rainford, the 22-year-old, has got some work to do here if he wants to get his 4th consecutive class victory. They go over the brow, we go back to the front runners, and that's a spinning Morgan Short in the BMW. He sends David Brabham onto the grass as Brabham tries to avoid him, and the BMW from 2nd place is going to lose a ton of places here. So Jack Fabi will now have a big lead of 6 seconds. David Brabham has already moved ahead of Bobby Trundley, so that gains him another place. He's 2nd now, and then Bobby Trundley, who's gained 1 and lost 1, stays 3rd. Ben Sharridge has gone 4th. Sam Brabham 5th. Morgan Short down to 6th place, and we've also lost down the field Isaac Rain as well. He had a bad lap, so it all kicked off there in amongst that battle for 2nd and 3rd positions. We're now looking at the yellow Ginetta, the CCK Ginetta of Charles Rainford, who is homing in on Sarah Moore. And this is for the final spot on the Class 2 podium. We've still got bags of time to make up more ground here, but Sarah is not going to be an easy driver to overtake. The W-Series front runner closes the door on the way into Druids, keeps the Tockwith Motorsports red and white Ginetta just ahead, holds the inside line on the way down into the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend because she knows trouble might be coming. In the background, look, we've got the 2nd of the team Brit McLaren's, Andrew Tucker, who had a delayed start, making great ground here. He's up to 13th place now, had a bit of bad luck with the back marker in the first race, but he is absolutely flying. He's got a more powerful car, admittedly, but he's charging ever closer towards the top 10 at this rate. Here he comes. He's going to whip around the outside of both of them, so they are both overtaken. Sarah Moore, though, more worried about the Ginetta that's just behind her. The door opens up on the way to Hawthorns, and Rainford goes through to gain 3rd in class. Sarah Moore will have a little look on the exit here as they go up towards Westfield, but there's nothing doing, and Rainford stays ahead. So the next target for Rainford will be Shane Stoney, who's around about 3 seconds up the road. There's Bobby Trundley, who started on pole position, slipped back at the start, he's now recovered to 3rd position. Apparently, the buttons on his controller switched around for some inexplicable reason. So off the start, his clutch button and his accelerator button switched around. He actually had to press the clutch to get off the line, which was why he was delayed. But he's going well now, although Sam Brabham is all over him, look, and has a lunge up the inside on the way into the left-hander at Graham Hill Bend. Out wide goes the McLaren, and the BT62 goes through. There was no contact there, but he came from such a long way back that I think Bobby Trundley was surprised, tried to give him room, and he easily slipped wide there, and out briefly onto the grass he went. But the BT62 is now flying away. Sam Brabham, a 3rd generation racer, the son of David Brabham, the grandson of the 3-time Formula 1 world champion Sir Jack Brabham, and no mean racer himself, coming back into racing last year for half season in the Porsche Carrera Cup GB after a few seasons away. But prior to that, he was a front runner in the Formula Ford Championship, runner-up in the scholarship category, and finished 4th overall in the 2013 British Formula Ford Championship. So good to see Sam joining us here. Like Scott Stevenson, he joins us from Australia as well, having to get up very early in the morning to join this race. Now, back to this battle between Bergstrom and Coates. They switched around, look, off screen, so it was Coates ahead of Bergstrom. We saw that move up at Druids, but Bergstrom's got his nose back in front this time. Max Coates is trying to recover that position, but for now, as they come through the right-hander at Westfield and head towards Dingledale, it is the American that remains ahead. So once again, these two very evenly matched here at Brands Hatch. Max Coates goes out wide as he heads towards Stirling's, so that's going to lose him a little bit of time. They come out of the left-hander, and indeed so, the gap opens up to 4 or 5 car lengths. So Bobby Trundley, 4th place now, falling away from the BT62 of Sam Brabham. There you've got the battle for 5th place between Ben Sharridge and Morgan Short. Morgan Short, you'll remember, was running in 2nd place until he had a spin a couple of laps ago. He's very much back on it now, though, and all over the tail of the Glickenhaus of Ben Sharridge. He looks to the inside on the way into Hawthorns. He's halfway alongside, but he's not yet done the job. Out wide, though, goes Ben Sharridge. He runs out of road, runs out of traction, and noses into the barrier. He'll recover, but gets a bit too heavy on the throttle. He'll lose another place. Look, here's a replay. Short dives down the inside, a legitimate move. He can't quite get there, but he does force Sharridge off the line. He's on the marbles, he's out of grip, and he's out of luck as he sends spinning into the barriers. So Morgan Short now back up to 5th place. Isaac Rain and Scott Stevenson both got ahead of Ben Sharridge as he tried to recover from that spin as well. So Ben, I'm afraid, now down to 8th place. As we now go back to this battle for 5th in Class 2 between the red and white Seat of Max Coates, the yellow Seat of Shields Bergstrom. 0.6 of a second between them, but it looks maybe like that gap is starting to just come back down a little bit between them. They go over the line. Let's have a look. The times flash up, and yes, the gap between them has indeed come down to just about 0.3 of a second now. So keep an eye on that one. Here is a squabble that is going on between Charles Rainford, 11th, now ahead of Shane Stoney in 12th place. They're both about to put a lap on Alan Remius. Shane Stoney very forceful on the way through there, the reigning Radical champion. He's lost the place already off camera because Rainford has been coming back through the pack. He was 3 seconds behind Stoney last time we saw them. But he's now just ahead. That said, Shane Stoney is trying his best here, his level best, to hang on to the tail of the 3-time class winner. So now at the moment it's James Rainford 1st in class and his son Charles Rainford 2nd in class. They've had a 1-2 already this year. It was in the very first race of the season at Spa. James finishing ahead of Charles in the opening E-Series race to take what was his only class victory so far. He's got 2.5 seconds to try and manage the gap, but he's still got more than half the race to go, look. So we've just seen the white McLaren of Andrew Tucker trying to charge back through the field from dead last. He's now up to 9th place. He's 14 seconds behind this car though, Ben Sharridge, who we saw having a big moment not very long ago. So Ben in 8th place now. I did say his 5th place result in race 1 was his best so far in the E-Series. He actually did though get a 4th place at Spa in the opening weekend. So he's at a good couple of top 6 finishes. That might now be out of the question. He's 3.7 seconds behind Scott Stevenson in 7th and slipping back at the moment. So he makes his way towards the right-hander at Hawthorns, having negotiated Hawthorn Hill, and he'll head now up towards Westfield and just about see the tail end of Scott Stevenson coming out of the turn. There is Scott then, the Australian, who works as a production design manager for the Brabham Automotive squad, and joins us for this race from down under. So to set the alarm very, very early indeed to join everybody else. For everybody else, it's an evening race here in the UK, but it's very early morning in Australia. But doing a good job here is Scott Stevenson. Unlucky not to get on the podium when he ran out of fuel on the last lap of the first race, and Sam Brabham then inherited a podium, and the same thing happened to him. He ran out of steam coming out of the very final corner, never quite made it to the finish line. So both of them trying to come through here. Sam up to 3rd place now. He's only 0.8 of a second behind his dad as well, I noticed on the screen. So David and Sam Brabham may be about to go into battle for 2nd place. Morgan Short in 4th place, trying to get through the traffic to catch them up. He gets past the Tockwith Motorsports Ginetta here. Bobby Trundley in the McLaren is going to try and do the same. I think he'll clear the Ginetta before they get to the next turn. Now this is the battle for 2nd place. David Brabham in the blue and yellow BT62 coming under more and more pressure from his son Sam Brabham, who, as I say, made a return to racing last year. He joined in the Porsche Carrera Cup GB the second half of last season, and did an excellent job in only his second race at Silverstone around the Grand Prix circuit. He was a class winner. So Sam now homing in on his dad. They're both 7 seconds or so behind this man, Jack Fabi, in the VR Motorsport Praga, who continues to lead the race. Now this is the battle for the C2 class lead. On the way into the right-hander at Hawthorns, James Rainford in the Seat, under attack from his son Charles in the Ginetta. Charles has got the inside line here, on the way to Westfield. He's got his nose in front, he goes through, but hanging on around the outside is the Seat. James is not making this easy. There's a right-hander coming up. It should, through Dingledale, still be the Ginetta just ahead, though. It is left-hander coming up through Sterling's, and that's the class lead. But you've got Shane Stoney not far back as well in third place. The top three in Class 2, all within sight of each other as they come towards the conclusion of another lap. And we're only just over half distance in this 30-minute race. So Charles, despite going off very early on in the race and dropping down the order, back up into the lead of Class 2 now and looking for his fourth straight victory. This is the battle for fifth in class between Max Coates and Shields Bergstrom. They've been together for a few laps now, but they're actually both homing in luck on Sarah Moore in the red and white Tockwith Motorsports Ginetta. Clipping the curbs there on the way through the blind right-hander at Paddock Hill Bend is Max Coates. He's done that corner a million times as a driver for 4 years, a front runner for 4 years in the Renault UK Clio Cup. Prior to that, racing in Porsche Carrera Cup GB for a time, Ginetta Juniors as well, karting of course prior to that, and racing in the Mini Challenge this year, and I'm expected to be a real front runner for the championship when it gets underway. Morgan Short in fourth place has got the McLaren of Bobby Trundle getting a bit closer, and his mirrors are here, I would say, over this last lap or so. Just about half a second between the pair of them. They made their way through a bit of traffic. But at the moment it's the McLaren that seems to have the edge as we go back to the battle for second, and they've switched around. They've just swapped over, look. Sam Brabham, it must have been coming out of Surtees, has got ahead of his father. So David Brabham down to third place. Remember, Sam started on the outside of row 4, 8th on the grid. He didn't even have a spectacular first lap really, so he's done a great job to get up to second place here. 6.6 seconds to try and make up now on the race leader. Alan Remius kicking up the dust as he's lapped in the Lotus, the GF Williams Lotus, and he's lapped by this battle for fourth in Class 2. Sarah Moore still just ahead of Max Coates. Max has just edged away on this last lap from the yellow Seat of Shields Bergstrom. They come over the line, and yeah, Max Coates a tiny bit quicker. He closes up again under braking on the way to Paddock Hill Bend. He takes a much tighter line through Paddock Hill Bend than the Ginetta. They're coming up to be lapped by the race leader, Jack Fabi. The VR Motorsport Praga gets ahead of Shields Bergstrom before they get to Druids. It's low slug in the mirrors, mate. Look how low down that Praga is. The R1T might not be immediately visible to Max Coates in the mirrors, especially in that dark grey livery, but he does now see him coming, and the race leader laps the Seat before they get to the left-hander at Surtees. And now negotiate the Ginetta on the way out of the turn, and Max Coates will spring his attack onto the tail of Sarah Moore here. He's got a long run up Hawthorn Hill, and he might have a go into the right-hander at Hawthorns. He's going to get there before that, well before that. He's already closed the door before they get to the braking zone. So Max Coates through and up into fourth place now in the category. Two very competitive and very successful real-life racers, these, Max Coates and former Britcar Dunlop Endurance champion Sarah Moore. Meanwhile, what's happened to Shields Bergstrom? He's dropped right away from them here. He's not even in the background of the picture, so Shields has had an issue somewhere as Sarah Moore tries to fight back now. The Ginetta gets back alongside on the way to Sterling's. Forced out wide is the Seat, onto the curbs, onto the grass. Right-hander coming up though. He's a bit further back, but he'll have the better line going into clearways, and Max Coates will fight back. Terrific racing though between this pair. They're coming up to be lapped now by the second place car of Sam Brabham, the BT62. That's as good a place to catch the back markers actually, because neither back marker nor Class 1 frontrunner delayed in all of that, and he's now closing the gap to the race leader fairly quickly. He's already got 2 seconds or so away from him, so only 4.2 seconds now between Fabi and Sam Brabham. You're looking at Bobby Trundle and Morgan Short in 4th and 5th positions respectively, and now we've got Shane Stoney trying to go around the outside here of James Rainford for second in Class 2 at 30s. A spin just in front, that's Andrew Tucker. And now coming onto the straight, Shane Stoney in the Ginetta is going to have the advantage in terms of slipstream, but with his nose in front, James Rainford will hold on to second in class. They're already 7.7 seconds down on Charles Rainford is onto the grass. Out wide goes Shane Stoney. He's got to watch the mirrors because the race leader is lapping him at the same time. He was a bit leery as he rejoined there. That might have been a heart-in-mouth moment for both him and the race leader, but Stoney has dropped right off the case now after that trip to the grass. So the race leader now coming up to lap second in Class 2. James Rainford just about gives him enough room on the way to Stirling's, but the leader through. And with a bit of a breather now and clear track in front of him, he's pushing on here, Jack Fabby, because I'm sure he knows the gap is coming down rapidly between himself and Sam Brabham in second place. Less than 3 seconds between them now as we go into the final 8.5 minutes of the race. And the scrap for fourth place is on as well, because Bobby Trundley's had a really good lap here in the McLaren. He's drawing alongside the BMW of Royal Centre Racing's Morgan Short. He's trying to carry the speed around the outside. This is brave stuff. He's still going to be the outside when they get to Paddock Hill Bend. Is he going to commit to the move or back off out of it? They're coming up to the back marker. Alan Remius as well. He has to back off out of it in the end, but that was brave stuff, trying to go all the way around the outside coming onto the start straight. He's still showing his nose on the way towards Druids. He knows the back marker is coming up. He won't get through there, so he switches to the outside line. Left-hander coming up at Graham Hill Bend. Where's the back marker going? Alan Remius trying to stay out of the way. Morgan Short in the BMW just about gets there first, and maybe even gains half a length or so. But Bobby Trundley is the quicker of the two at this stage of the race, as these two youngsters scrap over fourth position. Two very, very competitive sim racers, these two. Morgan Short, the son of former British GT champion Martin Short, and a chip off the old block, no doubt about it. So here they come up towards Hawthorns once again. Bobby Trundley not quite close enough to attack at this phase of the lap. Interestingly, they're coming up to this battle between Max Coates and Sarah Moore. So they're trying to battle their own squabble for fourth place and keep an eye on the mirrors of these battles for Class 1 that are coming up to lap them at the same time. Not easy to do all of this, but racing drivers have a very, very good sense of time and slowing things down and spatial awareness. I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine. Now then, this is probably going to kick off on this next lap, I reckon. Maybe even at Paddock Hill Bend, the way the Class 1 cars are catching the Seat and the Ginetta. Sarah Moore's had a good run as well. She's right onto the tail of Max Coates as they come towards the start-finish line. Morgan Short's going to have a lunge up the inside of Sarah Moore on the way to Paddock Hill Bend. Is he going to try and get past Max Coates as well? He's going to try. He's not going to quite succeed. He's in between the pair of them at the moment. Trundley slices through the middle of them now, gets closer and closer. There's almost four together on the way into Druids here. Absolutely side by side. Short has got through. Sarah Moore's got her nose in front of Max Coates. Max Coates is fighting back, and all the time Bobby Trundley's been delayed in all of this as he tries to lap them in the McLaren. So Coates just about stays fourth in class. Now Bobby Trundley's able to get through on the way to Surtees, but he's lost probably a couple of seconds in all of that, and will now have to try and regain that ground on Morgan Short's BMW. It's probably lost more than 2 seconds actually, so very frustrating that for Bobby Trundley. That's all in all a bit of a frustrating race, I'd say, after the excellent drive in race one. It was really the problem of the start that's cost him, as Jack Fabby rejoins the race leaders had it off, and he's down to second place. Brabham was close enough to get through. Fabby going off there, it looked like at Westfield. He's rejoined just in front of David Brabham in the BT62 in third place. And what a shame. I'm sure that's partially down to the fact that he's under pressure from Sam Brabham, who was catching in rapidly. Here's a replay with some onboard shots as well. He's just gone past and lapped the Charles Rainford Ginetta, then he just clips the grass. He just loses it, under braking on the way into the right-hander at Westfield through the gravel trap. He recovers quickly, but it's too late. Sam Brabham, he's already through and into the race lead. Don't try and catch your breath, there's no time, because we're back to this battle between Coates and Moore. They've had a fantastic scrap for the last 5 or 6 minutes, this pair, and Sarah Moore has really thrown everything at trying to get the position back away from Max Coates. She succeeded a couple of times in getting her nose in front, and now she's going to try and do exactly the same thing, coming out of the hairpin at Druids. She's through, she's back into fourth place in class. The Seat will have to follow her through Surtees. He's not close enough, Max Coates, to attack yet. He won't try and do it there. What he'll try and do is perhaps get a better run climbing uphill out of Surtees and have a go maybe at Hawthorns. He's going to be helped out by the fact that Sarah's just had a bit of a wobble coming out of the turn, so less traction, less acceleration. Here comes the Seat of Max Coates drawing along the outside. He's going to get through. He's done a move here before, he's pulled it off again, and the DAT Racing Seat is back through. However, Sarah Moore is not giving up. She never does. She's going to look at the inside on the way to Westfield here. And yes, the Ginetta back through. Terrific move. That was very clever. She knew she couldn't hold off the Seat through Hawthorns, so she just played the game ahead, looking forward to the next corner, thought about the exit, and through she went. They're coming up to be lapped by the Glickenhaus now as well. So this could be, again, interesting, this squabble between them. They're fighting and trying to look in the mirrors once more at the same time. So Max Coates is lapped. Sarah Moore, I think, will be lapped before Paddock Hill Bend. Actually, it's going to be okay. There's not going to be any dramas on this occasion. Right, Morgan Short in 4th place, only half a second clear now. Again, a Bobby Trundley, who was delayed in the traffic a couple of laps ago, but he's back on the case of the BMW. But time is running out, just about 3.5 minutes left on the clock here in this scrap for 4th position. They're both past Jim Rainford, who is still 2nd in class, but being swallowed up here by Shane Stoney. He's only 1.5 seconds behind him again. Shane had a moment on the grass a few laps ago and on the Grand Prix loop, but the Ginetta is coming back at the Seat. Now, showing his nose is Bobby Trundley on the way into Hawthorns. It was just to try and distract Morgan Short because he was never close enough to launch a real attack here. But what he's doing is trying to apply some pressure here, just trying to distract the driver ahead and force him into a mistake. But Morgan Short is not relenting yet. He's doing a good job here as they negotiate successfully. Sheen curve into the left-hander at Stirling's they go, and exiting now, heading back towards the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit and clearways. Bobby Trundley, we know, was able to carry good speed a few laps ago around the outside here. He had a half go at getting Morgan Short. Not as close this time, but he's definitely the quicker of the two at the moment, as we've got the Seat of Max Coates back in front of the Ginetta of Sarah Moore, but not for long, because coming out of Stirling's as they're both lapped by Scott Stevenson's BT62. Sarah Moore getting alongside. It's going to be Max Coates that gets the clearways first, though. Sarah Moore all over him like a rash, though, as they come through Clark Curve and forcing away at the inside line now. Max can see what's coming in the mirrors. He gets a slightly better run over the line, and actually he's going to be okay by the time they get to the braking zone for Paddock Hill Bend. So Max Coates and Sarah Moore having a real ding-dong here. Scott Stevenson just ahead, having lapped them. He's only 1.3 seconds behind Ben Sharich as well, so he's got his own battle to be had here in these closing stages. Right, Shane Stoney's got ahead of James Rainford. Look, he's just done it. We saw him catching on the graphic, and Shane now ahead, so that puts him up to 2nd place in the category. He's had quite a few 2nd place finishes of late, and Shane Stoney. He's been bridesmaid to Charles Rainford in each of the last 3 E-Series races. He was 2nd in race 2 at Spa as well, so he'd love to get a victory. I don't think it's going to come today, though, because Charles is so far clear. Now, Morgan Short coming up to Peter Spano's Porsche Cayman. He's going to lap it here, but he's got to keep an eye on Bobby Trundley, who's got a better run coming in towards clearways. Just over a minute left on the clock. The race leader has already started what will be the last lap of the race. So one more lap for Bobby Trundley to try and find a way past Morgan Short for this 4th place finish. It's been a terrific dice between them. Impressive defensive driving from Morgan Short, staying on the racing line but not being over defensive, not holding himself up too much on the exit to the turns. Bobby Trundley forced to try and take the outside line on the way through Druids. It's the only option available to him on the curbs. He was desperately trying to hang around the outside because he knew it would give him the inside line for Graham Hill Bend, but again Morgan Short is wise to it. Flinging around the outside again is the McLaren. We've had a spin for James Little in the Ginetta, who disappears off out of the way just in time. So the battle for 4th place makes its way onto the Grand Prix loop for the final time in the race, with less than 30 seconds now left on the clock. It's going to be the last lap for this battle as well, for 4th in Class 2 between Sarah Moore and Max Coates, and Sarah Moore now ahead. Every time we rejoin them, they're in a different order, those two, but for now it's Sarah a couple of tenths ahead of Max. Back to Bobby Trundley versus Morgan Short. Sam Brabham is going to win this race. He's nearing the checkered flag. He's 4 seconds clear of Jack Fabi. Here, though, is Bobby Trundley. He couldn't be closer to the tail of the Roll Centre Racing BMW. A spin just ahead for the Praga of Alistair Bolton as they come out of Stirling's. Sam Brabham has taken the victory in the race win. What about this battle for 4th place, though? Morgan Short, I think he's going to hang on to it. There is Sam Brabham, who takes his first E-Series victory. Well done to him. A great drive from 8th place. And over the line, it is just about going to be Morgan Short that fends off Bobby Trundley for that 4th place. So Sam Brabham, Jack Fabi, David Brabham, the podium finishes. Morgan Short 4th. And then in 5th place, Bobby Trundley. 6th place, Isaac Rain. Following through then this battle between Sarah Moore and Max Coates. It's going to go the way of Sarah Moore in the Trico-backed Ginetta. Terrific dice it's been between them. And she is going to take the checkered flag in 4th place behind James Rainford, Shane Stoney, and the class winner, once again, Charles Rainford. So So some absolutely fantastic sim racing here at Brands Hatch. There is confirmation of the final results. The next round will take us back to Silverstone around the international circuit. From me, Chris Hartley, and the team, hope you've enjoyed our coverage of the Britcar Dunlop Endurance E-Series, presented by Brabham Automotive.